In a small, quiet village, there lived an old lady who everyone simply called Grandmother. Her hair was silver. Her hands were wrinkled, but her eyes, those eyes carried a light that made people feel safe. Even though she lived alone in a tiny house near the big banyan tree, she never complained about anything. No husband, no children, no wealth, yet she smiled more than anyone in the whole village. People often wondered, what makes her so happy when life gives her so little? One day, a young woman named Radha came running to her, crying. Her face was tired, her clothes were worn, and her voice was shaking. "Grandmother," she said, "my husband went to the city to find work, but he hasn't sent any money. My children are hungry. I am scared. I feel like everything is going wrong." The old lady gently touched her hand. "My child," she said softly, "tell me, what do you think will happen?" Radha wiped her tears. "I feel like something bad is coming. What if he never finds work? What if he forgets us? What if?" Grandmother stopped her with a warm smile. "When we think bad thoughts, we feel worse. But when we think good thoughts, sometimes life becomes a little lighter, a little brighter." Radha shook her head. "But how can I think good thoughts when everything around me is falling apart?" Grandmother looked at her with kindness. "Let me tell you a small story." Radha sat down quietly. "Long ago," the old lady began, "there was a man who had nothing. No food, no money, no family. He sat by the river and cried, thinking his life was over. An old woman passed by and asked him, 'Why are you crying?' He said, 'Because I have nothing. How can I ever be happy?' The woman smiled and told him, 'Look around. You have the river, the trees, the sun, the sky. If you only look at what you lack, you will always feel empty. But the moment you look at what you do have, peace begins to grow.' The man wiped his tears, lifted his head, and slowly he began to see beauty again. His life didn't change instantly, but his heart did. And that was the beginning of his new life." The old lady looked deeply into Radha's eyes. "My child, life changed for that man not because of a miracle, but because of a mindset. When you change your thoughts, you change your strength." Radha whispered, "Will thinking positive really change my life?" "Yes," Grandmother said gently. "If every morning you wake up and tell yourself, 'Today will be a good day,' your heart becomes stronger. You make better decisions. You carry hope inside you. And hope creates miracles." Radha nodded slowly. Something inside her began to shift, a small spark of courage. From that day on, every morning she whispered to herself, "Today will be a good day." She worked harder. She cooked with love. She cared for her children with patience. She prayed with hope instead of fear. And then, after a few weeks, a letter arrived. Her husband had found a good job. He was sending money. He was coming home soon. Rita's eyes filled with tears, this time tears of pure happiness. She ran to the old lady's house. "Grandmother, it happened. Everything is better now." The old lady simply smiled and nodded. "You see, my child, when we fill our hearts with hope, blessings find their way to us. Life's problems never disappear, but with positive thinking, we become strong enough to overcome them." Soon, villagers began visiting the old lady one by one. Farmers, market sellers, children, widows, everyone seeking her wisdom. And she always said the same thing, "Think good thoughts, and good will come." She didn't give them money. She didn't solve their problems for them. She gave them something far more powerful, a way to see life with hope instead of fear. And slowly the entire village changed. People smiled more. They worried less. They helped each other more, sharing what little they had. All because one old lady taught them the simple magic of positive thinking. So remember, your mind is a garden. What you plant in it will grow. If you constantly water the seeds of fear and doubt, that is what your life will be filled with. But if you choose to water the seeds of hope, gratitude, and positivity, your whole life will bloom. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that can help change your perspective. Your journey to a positive life begins today. Thanks for watching.